It's today, November the 1st, 2023. Today is the 305th day of the year, and there are only 60 days left in the year. Today we're commemorating International Stress Awareness Day, International Scented Candles Day, All Saints Day, National Biological Coordinators Day, Eat Smart Day, and World Vegan Day. I had the opportunity to talk to Freya Dinsha with the American Vegan Society about World Vegan Day. Happy World Vegan Day.
Well, thank you.
Yes. So can you tell us, you're with the American Vegan Society, and what are the benefits of a vegan diet?
Well, there are quite a few benefits. It can benefit your health. It benefits the environment. And it's a much kinder diet. We're not slaughtering animals.
So speaking of that, can you tell us what constitutes a vegan diet? What makes something vegan?
A vegan diet is entirely derived from plant sources. So we don't eat anything that comes from animals. But there's a big variety in the vegetable kingdom.
Okay. And when you're talking that's fruits, nuts, vegetables, anything that's basically not.
Well, if you look at the USDA recommended food plate, and it's divided into sections. There's one section for fruits. Everyone eats fruits. Vegans eat a lot of fruit. Vegetables. Everyone's supposed to eat vegetables. We do well on eating vegetables. There are grains. That's on the food plate for everyone. We eat grains, including whole grains, which is recommended. And then really the only question that comes up is what you're going to eat for the protein group. And most people think meat equals protein, and they can't think much further than that. But the kinds of proteins that we're encouraged to eat are from the legumes, which is peas, beans, and lentils. And also protein you get from nuts and seeds is a good source of protein, and also good fats.
Okay.
And since we don't drink milk, people may wonder where we get our calcium. And there are plenty of good sources of calcium in seeds like sesame seeds, in tofu, in figs, and especially in dark green leafy vegetables. If you've got any question about where you're getting vitamins and minerals and so on, go to the dark green leafy vegetables and you've got your answer.
Okay. Source of good for everything, right? So a lot of people confuse vegetarian with vegan. What's the difference between the two?
Well, vegetarians are still drinking animal milk and or using eggs. And then there are some other little products that might creep in, such as gelatin, for instance, that people aren't aware of where that comes from. Well, actually, vegetarians shouldn't be using that.
Okay. So vegans do not consume anything that comes from an animal.
That's correct, yes.
Of any kind. Okay. So are there any kind of downsides to a vegan diet, health-wise?
Well, we're very much aware of what's going on that's not nice in the world, that other people don't think about. They kind of wall off from their consciousness. They don't think about the animals going to the slaughterhouse and what they endure there. But we're very much aware of it.
That's great. Now, how long have you been living a vegan lifestyle?
I've been a vegan for over 60 years. So I became vegan when I was 18.
Okay, and what first got you started?
Well, I grew up in a vegetarian household. So we did use cheese and eggs and milk. And, when I learned about the vegan way, I gradually became vegan, not all at once. I stopped the eggs and then the milk, and finally I stopped using honey. And that was really a result of corresponding with a pen friend. I grew up in England. You might have guessed that from my accent. And I had a pen friend in America, and he had become vegan about 3 or 4 years before that. And he explained to me the reasons why, and that's how I changed.
Okay, very cool. So, as we said, this is World Vegan Day. Do you have any idea how many vegans there are in the world?
That would be pretty hard to come up with. When there are polls, it depends very much on how the questions are asked. Now, there are a lot of people who are vegan most of the time, but not every day. So if it's a strict question saying, are you a vegan who never uses any animal products, then you're going to get lower numbers than if you ask someone if they are vegan most of the time, then you'll get higher numbers. So that's why the percentage of vegans, well, in this country, the estimate would be 3% of very strict vegans, and people who like to call themselves vegans, like to align themselves with the vegans, would be 6% and more.
Okay, and that's the American numbers then.
Yes.
The American side, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And would you say America is one of the top countries for population with vegan individuals, or what country do you think has the most vegans worldwide?
Well, we're doing pretty well. We're doing a lot better because there's more vegan food available easily in the supermarkets these days. The country with a reputation for having the most vegans per capita would be Israel. So Israel has about 4% of their population would identify as being vegan.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. That's great. So again, these are some facts for World Vegan Day. But before we end, I do want to ask you, what would you tell us is one of the most interesting vegan and tasty vegan recipes that you use?
Oh, there's so many. It's difficult to choose. I think what's become very popular with vegans are curry dishes. Indians have traveled all over the world, and their curries have become very popular, and they're tasty.
Well, thank you, Freya, for talking with me. And again, Freya is with the American Vegan Society. And if there are people out there who are interested in some more information, how can they get in touch with the American Vegan Society?
And look for our website, americanvegan.org, and that'll lead you to a lot of good things.
Right, it led me to you, so you're right, leads you to good things.
Yes, okay, good.
Well, thank you very much. And again, happy World Vegan Day.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
Today is also International Pet Groomers Appreciation Day. It's Autistic Speaking Day, Give Up Your Shoulds Day, Extra Mile Day, National Authors Day, National Calzones Day, National Pate Day, National Deep Fried Clams Day, and it's National Brush Day, which you will definitely need to do if you appreciate all those foods today. But before you clean your teeth, let's see what John Jameson is making in the kitchen in honor of National Cinnamon Day.
Well, hi Gary. Today I thought we'd make a chunky apple oatmeal cinnamon breakfast bar. Super healthy, super good. So all we need are 2.5 cups of rolled oats, half an apple, a little bit of egg white, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and 1.5 cups of apple butter or applesauce, your preference. So let's get rolling. scoop them out, flatten them a little bit. So into the oven on 350, 17 minutes. Check it out. Best breakfast you're ever gonna have. Heart healthy.
Today is also National Family Literacy Day, National Sports Fan Day, National Vinegar Day. It's National Go Cook for Your Pets Day and Prime Meridian Day. Today kicks off National Family Caregivers Month. And to tell us more about what it means to be a family caregiver, I had the honor of talking to a very dear friend of mine, Roseanne Cochran, the host and producer of Daughterhood, the podcast for caregivers. Roseanne, so great to see you. Thank you for talking with me today.
Great to see you, Gary.
Yes,
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to talk to you as always. And we are kicking off National Family Caregiver Month. And that kicks off on November 1st for the month of November. And you are a caregiver. We're going to talk a little bit about a podcast that you actually do about caregiving, but also you have been a caregiver in several different ways, and caregiving comes in different forms. So can you tell us a little bit about your caregiving story?
Sure. Again, great to be here with you, Gary. It's always great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
When my caregiving story started with my daughter, she had a very rare congenital condition at birth. And we were kind of thrown into that world of, what is this? It was very rare, like 50 in the world rare. And this was before the internet. So it was a bit of a challenge. And we went through all of the stages, trying to gather information, trying to make the best decisions, trying to find the best doctors, and then carrying out all of that in some sort of cohesive plan to help her. And we had no idea, and either did the doctors. So we were trying to learn and do these things the best we could through that journey. I always said to her that she prepared me for caring for my mom when she had vascular dementia, because I knew how to research. I knew how to talk to doctors, and that talking to doctors is really, it's a different language, because you have to know what to say to get them to pay attention to what you're saying, so that you're not dismissed. And not, sometimes doctors think, I read this on the internet, so now I'm an expert. And you do have to have your own research, because you have to know what you're talking about with them. And it was very helpful in that with dementia, there's so many forms of dementia. There's 200 different forms of dementia. Of course, the most common is Alzheimer's, but there's vascular dementia, there's Lewy body dementia. And it's hard. It's hard to try to get your point across and to say, I know this person, and these are the things that are happening, and how can you help us? So it's kind of a balance that you have to find, along with trying to care while you have your own life. And if you have your own family, for me, I was a sandwich caregiver, which means I was caring for my children and caring for my mom at the same time. That your kids are growing up and growing out, and your parent is growing older and towards the end of their life. And you're constantly trying to find the time to be with both of them in a substantial, important way. And there never seems to be enough of it, quite frankly.
Absolutely. And that's why this is Family Caregiver Month.
National Family Caregiver Month,
Yes, because you can be a caregiver for a lot of different people. It's not always just your family. Do you find the family, do you find in your experience, are most caregivers family members, or is that something less common?
I would say most are. There are people that care for aunts and uncles. They may be friends that you care for. I know grandchildren care for their grandparents. I mean, it really is, it runs the gamut. You just can't, it doesn't fit in any box when it comes to caregiving, because we all care it's just a matter of how you're caring for it. And if you identify as a caregiver, because that's the other part. Some people don't identify as caregivers. They're doing everything that is caregiving, but they don't see themselves as a quote caregiver. They're just providing love and care.
Yes. And we do want to mention that your daughter is doing very well.
She's great. Yes. Yes. Yep.
Now,
Thank you.
your caregiving experience led you to starting a podcast as well.
Yeah.
That you share your experience and your knowledge. Tell us a little about your podcast.
So when I found a group called Daughterhood. It's daughterhood.org. Ann Tumlinson created it in 2015. And she's been in the healthcare field, in the policy world for a long time. And she saw that caregivers need support. We're all out here in this system that is a broken healthcare system, trying to maneuver our way through and care for our people. So she created this, and I found it one night after I had moved my mom in with us. It was 3 a.m, and I found her blog, and I thought, wow, this woman really understands what this is like. This woman really gets it. So I started a group, a circle, in January of 2019, and we would meet once a month. And I was so taken back by, we all felt the same way, but we didn't know we felt the same way because we were all in our houses suffering. And when we got together, it was that moment of, oh, you too? You feel like this? Because I feel like this, and I feel horrible that I feel like this. But you're telling, so it can't just be me. There's all of these people. And what I kept finding was, the more we talked about it, our issues that we were coming up with, like, why do I feel so bad? What is this feeling that I have? And the anticipatory grief that comes with caregiving, and just the stress and all of trying to manage it all. And I thought, I don't hear this. I don't hear this perspective from what I'm reading and what I'm listening to. I don't hear it. So I thought, I'm going to start a podcast. And I approached Daughterhood about it. They were fully on board, and I created a monthly podcast. I knew I couldn't do a weekly podcast, and I couldn't do a bi-monthly podcast. That wasn't going to work, because as a caregiver, I never knew what was going to happen from day to day.
Right.
But I knew I could get one out a month. So I created Daughterhood, the podcast, and I started to call people that I wanted those answers from. And I called Judy Cornish and said, Judy, who's an expert in dementia. And I said, Judy, I'd love to talk to you about dementia and why these behaviors come up, and how does this happen? And then more importantly, how are we supposed to try to deal with these behaviors? And just one person after another. And it was really great to be able to talk about empathy and trauma-informed care. And, I talked to Dr. Jason Karlowich from Penn Memory about also his book. It's The Problem of Alzheimer's, those types of things. But I also was able to talk to Lisa Gibbons about caregiving, because Lisa cared for her mom. And when you think about the fact that it doesn't matter who you are, as a caregiver, we all experience those same feelings and those same issues that we're struggling with and trying to deal with while we're providing this care. And it's been tremendously gratifying to be able to provide this information to other caregivers.
Absolutely. And we do want to mention, as we said, this is a month that we're recognizing caregivers, family caregivers, but caregiving goes on all year, and people need to take care of themselves as well. And that's a big part of caregiving. It's making sure you, as the caregiver, are taking care of yourself. You're giving care to yourself as well. Do you agree?
Yes, it's very hard to do. There's a lot of guilt around that. There's a lot of pressure around that. Because how am I supposed to care for myself when I'm caring for my kids? I'm caring for my mother. I'm caring for my own well-being. How do you keep it all going? And it's really important, because we know that some caregivers die before their care partner, and it's really it's a very hard way to try to do this. It's really hard. It's hard being a caregiver, and people don't understand it because they're not in it. And it isn't until they get into it that they say, wow, wait, this is really how it is. And it's like, yeah, this is really how it is. It's really hard.
Yes. But there are a lot of resources as well. And one of them is Daughterhood.
Yes, there's a tremendous amount of resources, and depending on your disease, of course, there's, the cancer organizations and Parkinson's and dementia, and there's plenty of resources. At Daughterhood, we try to bring that all together, and so that you can come to Daughterhood and find the resources that you need, and also find our circles that provide support to other caregivers. And that's what we do. We have connection circles where you come and it's what's on your heart right now. How are you feeling? What can we help you with? And we have topic circles that are individual topics. It's just what it sounds like. It's an individual topic that we go over. We have a Medicare circle. We have Caregiving 101, where to start. We have a grief circle. We have circles coming up in November that are creative thinking for the holidays, which is when you go home, what are you looking for? If you haven't been home for a while and you go home for the holidays and suddenly mom doesn't make the pumpkin pie that she's made for 35 years, or things are a little messy, or dad doesn't get around as easily as he used to. These are the things that you have to look for. You don't bring them up at the Thanksgiving table because that doesn't work, but it's something for you to take note of. And then we have a circle for after Thanksgiving. Okay, this is what you witnessed. Now, what do I do? So we're trying to get as many support systems as we can out there for caregivers, because it's important, and you need that support. And some people run away from the idea of gathering with other people to talk about it, when they don't realize that it's really validating and it's something that you need. And if you don't have that in your life, if your friends haven't been caregivers, you don't have that experience. And you can have siblings, but you're not going to experience it the same way. Mm-hmm. So it's really important to have that support for you, for yourself, so that you can make it through this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Roseanne, for talking with me today. And again, we're kicking off National Family Caregiver Month for the whole month of November. And we tried to send some support to all those caregivers out there. If you're interested in some more information on Daughterhood, how can they get in touch with you and with Daughterhood podcast?
We are at daughterhood.org. You'll have the podcast is there, the circles are there. We have a movie that we're premiering on November 1st to kick off Family Caregivers Month, called Wine, Women, and Dementia. You can register for it on the website, but we have resources, podcast, Anne's blog. Everything is right there at daughterhood.org. And you can find the podcast anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
Fantastic. Again, I've been talking with Roseanne Corcoran, and thank you very much, Roseanne. It's been very much a pleasure talking with you. And
always a pleasure.
Yes, and happy National Family Caregiver Month. Thank you for watching It's Today. Please subscribe to our YouTube page and our daily podcast so you never miss a chance to celebrate.